He has been called El Conquistador, the Conqueror, but his story began much earlier than any conquest. Who was Tariq ibn Ziyad, and why is he one of the most important figures in history? Welcome back to my channel, where today we look at one of the most influential people in history. Before we begin our tale of intrigue and invasion, I would like to ask you a small favor. If you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. It only takes a moment and helps us bring history to life for millions more people. Let us now meet an extraordinary man who will change the course of human history forever. The year is 711 AD, and Europe is enjoying a brief period of peace. The long period of upheaval known as the Migration Period has only just ended, and the continent is still reeling from the collapse of the Western Roman Empire. New kingdoms are rising, and the Franks, Visigoths and Lombards are all carving out their own domains across the fractured landscape. Meanwhile, across the Straits of Gibraltar in the Iberian Peninsula, the Umayyad Caliphate is preparing for invasion. But the leader of this force will not be a warrior king or a fanatical cleric. It will be the General Tariq ibn Ziyad, a man whose name means light of Islam. Little is known of Tariq's early life, but what is clear is that he was born into military service. His father, Musa bin Nusayr, was governor of the Maghreb region of the Muslim world, which encompassed modern-day Morocco, Algeria and Tunisia. At the time, this territory was a part of the Umayyad Caliphate, the second of three major Arab caliphates that succeeded the original Rashidun Caliphate established by the Prophet Muhammad after his death. When Musa became governor, he oversaw a period of relative calm and prosperity, but tensions were growing between the Muslim rulers and the Christian Visigothic kingdom of the Iberian Peninsula. The Visigoths had previously been pushed back across the Pyrenees Mountains into what is now Spain, but they continued to launch raids into Muslim territory. So when Musa's son Tariq reached adulthood, he was schooled in the art of war, and his military education culminated in a prestigious position as commander of his father's personal guard. In 708 AD, Musa launched a full-scale invasion of the Visigoth kingdom. Leading his troops across the Straits of Gibraltar, he established a base on the southern coast and began to push north. Yet despite initial successes, the campaign ultimately failed. Musa's army was defeated at the Battle of Guadalete, and the Muslim forces retreated back to North Africa. Though Tariq was not present at this battle, having been sent ahead to secure supply lines, his career was effectively over before it truly began. Discouraged, he withdrew to serve as governor of a small district in the Maghreb. But soon the opportunity for glory would present itself once more. Following the defeat at Guadalete, Musa was summoned to Damascus to explain his failure. He was stripped of his command and executed soon thereafter. And the new governor, Abdul al-Aziz, looked to repair the damage inflicted on the caliphate's reputation. As such, he commissioned Tariq to lead a new campaign into Iberia, though he was given little support and fewer resources. Tariq landed on the Iberian coast in the summer of 711 and quickly set about establishing a beachhead. The Muslim advance was aided by the fact that many Iberians had grown tired of Visigoth rule and welcomed their new overlords. Some sources claim that Tariq even received intelligence that the Visigoth king was planning to invade Muslim territory at the same time, giving him an open field to maneuver in. By October, the Muslims had advanced all the way to the River Garonne, yet the Visigoth leadership, under the command of King Roderick, prepared for a final stand at the Battle of Tours. What followed was one of the most decisive battles in history. Despite being outnumbered, the Frankish and Visigoth alliance managed to halt the Muslim advance into Europe, shattering the myth of Muslim invincibility. After the battle, Tariq retreated back to Iberia. Yet within 2 years, he had reconquered the entire peninsula and had even marched his army as far north as the Loire Valley. He was now master of one of the largest territories in Europe and the Muslim world. But if he hoped to solidify his conquests, he knew that he needed allies. Though many in Iberia had welcomed the Muslims, there were still pockets of resistance, particularly along the northern coast. The most significant power in this region was the Kingdom of Asturias, a Visigothic remnant that refused to bend the knee to the Umayyad Caliphate. To neutralize this threat, Tariq sought the support of the local Frankish ruler, Charles Martel, who had played a critical role at the Battle of Tours. In 716, Tariq and Charles met near the Somme River to discuss terms, and though the exact contents of the treaty remain unknown, it is believed that Charles recognized Tariq as the rightful ruler of Iberia in exchange for northern territories. This agreement allowed Tariq to consolidate his control over Iberia, bringing it under direct Umayyad rule. He established a capital at Cordoba and divided the province into smaller administrative districts, each governed by a military governor. While the majority of the population was allowed to keep their wealth and property, non-Muslims were subjected to a special tax known as jizya, which allowed them to retain their freedom and property in exchange for payment. For his part, Tariq kept a large army on hand to quell rebellions and enforce order, but he also encouraged trade and cultural exchange between Iberia and the rest of the Muslim world. Under his rule, Cordoba became a center of learning and the arts, attracting scholars and artists from across Europe and the Middle East. However, not all of Tariq's contemporaries viewed his conquest as a triumph. Back in Damascus, many members of the Muslim clergy saw his rule over Iberia as an act of aggression and called for him to be removed from power. Indeed, they lobbied for the establishment of a religious state that would spread Islam throughout Europe by force. While Tariq was able to hold off this pressure for several years, eventually it proved too great to resist. In 718, the Caliph ordered him to return to Damascus to explain his actions. Tariq refused and instead declared himself wali, or representative of the Caliph, effectively breaking away from the Umayyad Caliphate and establishing a new independent state in Iberia. This move transformed the Muslim conquest of Iberia from a mission of cultural exchange to one of outright domination, and Tariq's armies began a series of campaigns to expand their territory. One of his generals, Abd al-Rahman al-Ghafiqi, led a force into France in 732, but was defeated at the Battle of Poitiers. Other Muslim generals fared better, however, pushing the Franks back across the Pyrenees and securing Muslim control over most of modern-day France. Though these campaigns were ultimately unsuccessful in conquering the Frankish kingdoms, they did result in the establishment of a buffer zone that protected Iberia from outside interference. With his enemies pushed back, Tariq turned his attention to consolidating his rule over Iberia. He reformed the administration, introducing a new currency and legal code. He also commissioned the construction of mosques and schools throughout the province, helping to spread Islam among the local population. Despite his efforts, however, many Iberians remained resistant to the new religion, viewing it as a threat to their traditional way of life. Tensions eventually boiled over into open rebellion, which forced Tariq to spend his final years suppressing uprisings and restoring order. He died in 718 or 719, leaving behind a legacy of conquest and cultural transformation. The map you see here represents the state of the world during the 8th century. In the Mediterranean, the mighty Byzantine Empire controlled much of the eastern half of the Mediterranean, while the Islamic world stretched from the Arabian Peninsula into North Africa and parts of the Middle East. The European continent was dominated by various Germanic kingdoms, such as the Franks, Lombards, and Anglo-Saxons, while the remnants of the Western Roman Empire clung to existence in the Iberian Peninsula. In the east, the expanding Abbasid Caliphate posed a growing threat to the Byzantines, while the rise of the Tibetan Empire in Asia challenged the authority of China. Across the Atlantic, the Aztec and Inca civilizations flourished in the Americas, completely unaware of the developments unfolding in the Old World. These diverse and dynamic regions would soon be drawn into a web of trade, conflict, and cultural exchange, shaping the course of world history. Tariq ibn Ziyad was a brilliant military commander, a skilled administrator, and a devout Muslim. He is revered as a hero in Muslim history for his successful conquest of Iberia and his efforts to spread Islam in the region. Despite the controversy surrounding his methods, there is no denying that Tariq was a pivotal figure in the development of both Muslim and European history. His conquests paved the way for centuries of Muslim rule in Iberia, which had a profound impact on the culture, language, and society of the region. Whether he is remembered as a conqueror or a liberator, Tariq's legacy continues to shape our world today. We hope you enjoyed learning about Tariq ibn Ziyad, one of the most important people in history. His contributions to Muslim and European history are undeniable, and his legacy continues to be felt today. If you want to learn more about other influential historical figures, make sure to stay tuned for future videos. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.